Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jeff Day from NHL Event Communications. Thank you for joining us today for a special NHL Outdoors at Lake Tahoe media availability. On February 20th, the Honda NHL West Division Vegas Golden Knights and Colorado Avalanche will be playing in the Bridgestone NHL Outdoor Saturday. And on February 21st, the Mass Mutual NHL East Division Boston Bruins and Philadelphia Flyers are set to play in Honda NHL Outdoor Sunday. Joining us today are Bruins forward Brad Marchand and Bruins defenseman Charlie McAvoy, as well as Flyers forwards Kevin Hayes and James Van Riemsdyk, who today was named the Mass Mutual NHL East Division Star of the Month for January. Gentlemen, thank you for your time today. We're going to discuss your upcoming outdoor game against each other and then open for questions from the media. We're going to start with a few questions for all of you first. James, you've played in 6 of the NHL's previous 30 outdoor games to date, tied for the most ever. What are some of your most memorable moments?
Well, you're making me feel old with that stat, but I think some of the more memorable ones was definitely the first one at Fenway. I think that was still when these games weren't as common as they've become now, but that was a cool memory. It was in my first year too, so that one was a lot of fun. And then I got to play at the one at the Big House too, which was really cool. So I played at the U.S. program a couple years in Ann Arbor, so that's always held a special place for me. And to get a chance to play an outdoor game there was pretty special.
Brad and Kevin, you've each played in one outdoor game. What made those games special for you? We'll start with Brad.
I just think the whole experience, being outside, being in front of that many fans, we've all played hockey outside growing up, and but to be able to play an NHL game outside and to be able to do it in that kind of setting, it's pretty cool. And I think, being in Tahoe, it'll be not much nicer scenery than it's been in the past, just from what I've seen from the pictures. So it'll be pretty special. They're all very memorable events. So it should be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to it.
I had to play a couple of years ago at Citi Field, and like Brad said, it's we grew up playing hockey outdoors, and kind of brings you back to your childhood. And when you get to do it with millions of people watching and some of your closest teammates, it's such a great event that the NHL puts on every year. And I know James has played a ton, but I'm pretty sure each one's just as exciting. And I'm sure this will be just as fun and exciting as my last one.
Thank you. And Charlie, what does it mean to be making your outdoor debut?
Really excited for it. It was unfortunate I got hurt and I wasn't able to play at Notre Dame, but just taking it in and watching and kind of seeing it from a different point of view up top there, it was really special. All the fans and everyone in the stands, and just a really cool event. So I'm excited to be a part of one, and hoping I'll be able to play in it.
Great. We'll now take some questions from the media. A reminder to use the raise your hand feature, and please direct your question to a specific player. We'll start with Ted Sobel. Go ahead, Ted.
Hi, guys. Brad touched on it, and I'm just wondering maybe Charlie, James, and Kevin could give their thoughts on what excites you most about playing in this game. It's obviously it's different. It's on the 18th green of overlooking the lake, but you're going to be playing the game, so the lake's going to be behind you. What are your thoughts on just playing in this different kind of an atmosphere without fans?
Oh boy!
Did you hear me?
Yeah. You know what? I think the scenery should be pretty cool, like you just mentioned. I mean, usually these events are at stadiums and stuff like that. So it's, even though it is outdoor, it is a little bit more of a common thing that we're all generally used to. But I know for this one, obviously being on like you mentioned, the golf course there will be way different and totally different vibe in that sense. So that'll make this one special and definitely memorable.
How about you, Charlie?
Yeah, I think with scenery, obviously, is going to be very unique. And then I think kind of the aspect of not having fans there kind of makes it feel, even more so like it used to when you were a kid and you just go out with a couple friends and play. I think that aspect of it is going to be really unique, and it's just going to be a lot of fun to be able to experience that, all of us.
Yeah.
Our next question comes.
Good job.
Sorry, Kevin, can't see you. Your screen's a little dirty there, bro.
Jesus Christ.
Our next question comes from Chris Ryan.
This is for Brad and JVR. COVID's so much been about kind of reestablishing with being outdoors and that type of a thing. Does that kind of tie into this as well, where people have hockey comes from the pond and we have all kind of re-experienced being outdoors, and it seems like it's kind of a natural fit in that realm as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously, with everything that's going on, everyone's trying to find the best way to kind of stay sane and do the things that they love to do. Fortunately, we're allowed to play right now, and we are able to continue to play hockey and do our jobs. And, it does kind of tie it all together, being able to have these games play right now, but also to do it outside. I mean, I think the outdoor games are something we all look forward to every year. They're a lot of fun. Guys get excited about them. They're probably one of the guys' favorite memories when they play is to be able to play in these games. So to still be able to make it happen and to find a unique scenario where, we don't have fans, but it can still be special being out in Lake Tahoe and having that scenery and that view and having a place like that. It's pretty special. So it's great that they're able to tie it all together, and still make it happen. The fans are going to love to watch it. We're going to love to play in it, and it should be fun.
Yeah, I think Brad said it pretty perfectly, but obviously these events are always super memorable, and it's nice that we're able to still do something like this. And like he said, I think it fits perfectly for what everyone's going through as far as in the world and keeping things safe and being outside and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's going to be a great scene.
Our next question comes from Nick Katsanika.
Hey, for each of you, just where specifically did you play outdoors as a kid? Like, can you describe it to me? And was it really like Lake Tahoe with mountains and trees and that kind of scene?
I grew up on a lake or a pond. The back half of the lake didn't have any houses on it, so there were a lot of trees. It'd be pretty special when it would rain and the entire lake could be frozen, but there'd be no snow on it. You could skate the entire thing. You did have the scenery, the trees in the background, and obviously we didn't have the mountains and that kind of view, but we had a great little spot that we could go out, and it got cold early on there, so we had a lot of months there to play and to enjoy that. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, when I was skating outdoors when I was younger, it was just random spots in and around Boston. The scenery of Lake Tahoe is a little bit different than the city of Boston, so I'm expecting that to be different. But yeah, just anywhere I could find growing up in Boston.
Charlie or James?
Yeah. My dad used to make a little backdoor rink for me as soon as it got cold enough in the winter time. So that was where I was playing outside. I didn't never skate on a pond until I was in Ann Arbor was the first time I did that. So I don't really have much experience on the pond or lake type thing, but I'm really excited to see what Tahoe looks like and be able to take in all that scenery.
Yeah, growing up in Jersey, there's not a ton of opportunities to get to skate on the ponds and rivers and stuff like that, but there was a handful of times growing up I got to do that. But there was a local sort of outdoor rink that we were able to play on a few times a year, usually with some buddies. So that's something I always look forward to.
Thanks. And we'll go to a follow-up question from Chris Ryan.
I didn't realize I still had the hand up, but as you guys prepare for this, I'm curious as to what your thoughts have been on how often you've been playing the same team so far, the 2-2 matchups. You've seen each other obviously a couple times already, and do you expect there to be kind of a rivalry that's built at that point in time, given the fact that you're playing each other so consistently? Let's go for Brad.
Yeah, I like the 2-2 scenario where we play the same team a couple of times. It has a little bit more of a playoff feel to it. You're able to feel the team out the first game and then scout them a little bit and find their tendencies out for the second game. So, you're kind of adapting to their systems and everything a little bit more than maybe you do in the regular season in that second game. So, and it's also nice to be able to have a couple of days where you're not traveling and relax in the same city. So I've liked the setup so far. There's potential that maybe there's a little bit of a rivalry, but there's still regular season games. They have a much different feel than maybe a playoff series would. That's typically where you build those big rivalries that, people live for during the playoffs. So, I mean, during the regular season nowadays, there's not that much bad blood that happens. Again, typically what happens in those rivalries, there's big fights or big hits or, they don't have that stuff in hockey anymore. They've clamped down on it too much. So it's going to be another fun game, another regular season game. Obviously there's a history between the Bruins and the Flyers, but it's another game.
And we'll go back to Ted Sobel.
James, thoughts on that rivalry that Brad just talked about, and how are you dealing with the pandemic itself? Just the effects of how you have to deal with it on a daily basis, and how the league is handling it.
Yeah, I think the league's doing as good a job as they can as far as helping, just keeping us mindful of everything that's going on in the world and having different protocols in place. Obviously we're testing every day, things like that. So we're trying to take a lot of variables out of this as we can. Obviously it's still the elements of some things you can't control. So things are happening, and obviously we've seen some things get postponed and canceled and stuff like that. But I think to this point, they've done a good job to help us try to get through the season. And as far as just the day-to-day of that, I think certainly it's much different, particularly on the road where you're a little more isolated in that sense. But ultimately, again, we know the state of the whole world right now, and we're still very fortunate to be able to do what we love and stuff like that. So not too much complaining from us.
We'll do a couple more questions here. If you have a question, please use the raise your hand feature. And I've got one here. This is for all of you. Have you ever been to Lake Tahoe? What do you know about it? And thoughts about playing at 6,200 feet above sea level, which is higher than when you play in Denver versus the Avalanche.
Chuck, you want to take that one, bud?
Yeah. See if we can get oxygen tanks on the bench. It's going to be, I actually didn't even know where Lake Tahoe was, to be honest. So that was pretty embarrassing. But after seeing the pictures and stuff like that, and then someone told me about that today, how high above sea level it is. So maybe do some elevation training beforehand. I don't know.
Yeah, you'll have time for that.
Yeah. I'll wear one of those Bane masks to practice before we go there.
I've never been to Lake Tahoe. Just seen pictures. It looks beautiful. The whole elevation aspect, it's just one game. I think the guys will just battle through it and figure it out as we go.
Yeah, same. I've never been there. But ditto what the guy said. It's a beautiful, beautiful looking place. So looking forward to getting there. And yeah, same thing. We'll struggle for the first period. Same thing with Colorado. You typically catch your win by the second and third, and then it's over and you get to go home. So it'll be good.
Yeah, I've never had a chance to go out there before. I've obviously seen that golf tournament they put on every year on TV, but haven't had the chance to go out there myself. And yeah, like the other guy said, probably just gut it out for a game, and like we usually do when it's a little bit higher elevation, and go from there.
Thanks. Our next question comes from Carol Schramm.
Hi, Kevin, I will ask you this one. Touching again on the travel and protocol situation, one of the situations you're dealing with this year is having everything so close for most of your games being in the division. What do you think that it will be like being on a longer flight going out to Lake Tahoe and being farther away in the hotel, that sort of thing? How is that going to sort of feel now that you have some sense of how it's working this year?
Yeah, I mean, the good thing about our division is everyone's pretty close. We only get on a plane 2 times, I think. So that'll be a little different traveling out to Lake Tahoe, but it's just for one game, so I don't think it'll have too big of an effect. I mean, we've flown cross country for a game before, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be different. But for one game, I think everyone's going to battle, and it should be a good show.
Thanks, Carol. The next question is from Brandon Summerman.
I just want to get an opinion on all of you guys. Normally these events are pretty big spectaculars with, the family aspect going and being in a outdoor arena of some sort. What's the difference going to be like this time with not really family being there and also being in not an arena where you're going to have sight lines of trees and different type of things out in the wilderness rather than inside of a stadium?
Yeah, it'll be different. For the scenery aspect, it's not as big of a deal when you're on the ice. When you're on the ice, you're so engaged in the game, in the play, that you don't really notice any of the fans, what's in the background. That's more for when you're sitting on the bench and in between whistles or timeouts or whatever, you're kind of looking around. When you're on the ice, you have to be, you have to be focused on what's going on there. So that's what you're looking at. I think that's part of what makes the outdoor game special, is you get to be with your family. They get to go and experience it as well. You typically have a skate the day before with them, and you get to enjoy some time afterwards. And part of the excitement is the crowd and playing in front of 100,000 people. So you're going to miss all of that, but it's still a unique experience that we're all going to enjoy. It's going to be a little bit different and a little quieter, but there's not, again, there probably won't ever be another time where you're playing against another team in a backdrop like that or a situation like that without fans. So you got to make it what you can during these times, and it's going to be special regardless of having fans or family and friends there. We're going to make the most of it. We're still very close in the room and on the team, and we'll be able to enjoy it together.
Our next question comes from Andrew Knutson.
Going for all of you guys, mentioning before that none of y'all have ever been to Lake Tahoe in person. How interesting and unique just is that, thinking about it, when y'all are obviously very well traveled, bouncing all around North America, going to different games. You're going to a place you've never been before.
James?
Yeah, certainly. I'm sure, as all of us we've been taking a lot of different places across the continent here and overseas to play hockey, so we can kind of add this to our list, I guess, for that. So certainly, again, we're fortunate enough with what we do that we get to go to a lot of different places all over the world, and this will be another one that's pretty cool for us to go get to see.
Okay, we'll take 2 more questions. Next comes from Ted Sobel.
Yeah, if, Charlie, you can expound on the fact of a rivalry game without fans, how that affects the emotions out there on the ice, because usually the rivalry is as much with the fans as it is with the players. So in this case, in a different kind of environment, how do you expect that?
I think kind of what Marshy touched on earlier, kind of the rivalry aspect. Not as extreme as what you'd see like in old time hockey with teams that don't get along, but there's definitely passion in these games, and seeing a team multiple times throughout a season. Every time there's always a lot at stake with the standings. So the fans are always a big aspect in that when you go on the road and you travel to a hostile environment. It's never comfortable. So without having the fans involved, it'll be a little bit different. But there's a lot of passion that is created on both sides, through the team itself. And that'll be no different, especially in this game. There'll be a lot of excitement, a lot of joy to go out and play in this game. And, obviously two points at stake.
Thanks, Ted. And our last question comes from Nick Kostanika.
Brad, quick follow-up. What was the name of the lake you grew up on, and was it near Halifax? And then for all you guys, like the Bruins dressed up, I think Peaky Blinders was the theme walking into Notre Dame Stadium. Either team have plans brewing for something like that?
We haven't talked about it yet. Part of that again is because of it adds to the whole atmosphere with the crowd and the fans and everything. So we might try to do something, but obviously when you're more confined, there's maybe a little bit less, that maybe you think to do, but maybe we bring that up at some point. The lake was called Beaver Lake, I believe. It was in Glen Arbor, Nova Scotia.
Kevin or James, anything on the outfitting?
James is a big outfit guy, so he'll probably try to get something going, but whatever he thinks we should do, we'll do it.
Sounds good.